Warning, warning, wee-oo. If you're a big fan of RWBY and you really don't want to hear people being mean about it, I would really suggest not listening to this podcast. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. Don't make yourself suffer. You don't have to do this to yourself. You've been warned.
Just an endless empty hole.
Wee-oo, it's an emergency RWBY slush. Woo-woo, we had to do it. We have no choice. Phoenix.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, it's me, Cube, and that's Phoenix, and we have to do this because this latest comic, this comic is the best RWBY comic that's ever happened.
Yeah, we thought the one with RWBY turning sort of angry at birds that die in their shells was pretty good. But this new one, this latest DC RWBY comic is something else.
It's amazing.
It's actually a good bit of timing in that it got released digitally just after the reveal of Willow Schnee, Weiss Schnee's mum. And this comic is about Weiss and Willow, but like back in the day.
Yeah, so I think that might have forced their hand a bit in terms of, like they couldn't go on break before the last episode because they had to show her in the show. So, that's what she actually looks like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they didn't bother to tell the writer what her characterization is.
I don't think they told the writer anything. Either that or at this point, the writer is just doing whatever she wants to do and doesn't care.
Yeah, because this entire comic is fucking wild.
We saw Willow for one scene and already this feels entirely out of character. It's great. Anyway, so
yeah.
I think the way we're going to approach this is we're going to do this as a audio play.
Yeah, because there's too much that's amazing about this comic to just give like a quick summary. So it's a very special Happy Holidays, Home for the Holidays, Weiss Schnee audio play.
Yes. Okay. I'll be playing the part of Willow Schnee.
And I'll be Weiss.
You with her Weiss voice.
I do what I want.
Okay. So, scene 1, Schnee Manor.
Now, what we see here is a frozen fountain with a big floating icicle glyph thing above it. And I guess it's in a city somewhere. And here we have Weiss's narration with a big W to let you know that she's the one talking. This book is going to be the end of me. I can't make any sense of the book I won from Professor Ozpin. Is it all in code or a dead language? It's a pattern I can't decipher, let alone break. Sigh. And she's looking at a blank book that is the book that she won in the weird obstacle course.
Yeah, so this ties in directly to the last Weiss-focused DC comic, where we examined her long-running feud with Carden, which is 100% canon, and there was that weird no-holes-barred, no-rules obstacle course where she made Carden look like a dummy, and then Blake got stuck into her for cheating on the cheating is allowed obstacle course, and she won a book.
And it was supposed to be some kind of like ancient relic book with, mysterious properties. But I don't know if maybe like the colorist, like the inker thought that the colorist was going to fill these pages in or what? Because the pages are completely blank. They're very visibly blank.
Later on in the book, there's a close-up of the book and there's nothing on the pages.
Yeah, this panel you could be like, oh, maybe they just didn't fill it in as like a detail thing. But no, they're blank.
And Weiss is looking at a blank book going, I can't decipher this pattern. Anyway, so next panel. Weiss is heading down the stairs, and a voice bubble comes from off screen. Weiss, sweetheart, I'm so relieved to see our conversation at your door has you feeling a bit better.
Yes, thank you.
And on the next page is his mother.
Mother. And it's a splash page of her coming out to Willow's garden, where Willow is on a lawn chair with like a big bear fur blanket over her. She's got a wine glass that looks empty, but it probably has something in it. And you can see behind her there's some animals in cages. Oh no.
It's funny because on the cages at the top of the bars, there's this sort of snowflake motif that's repeated each time. That's meant to look like sort of wrought ironwork. But you can tell it's just one image of a snowflake thing that's been like stretched a few times. Like it's clearly not drawn.
Yeah, and the way the perspective is, if you were actually looking at them straight on, they would be extremely wide because they're already wider than they are tall, but they're supposed to be receding away in perspective. Oops.
I think the money's running out on this comic. Anyway.
It's tough stuff.
Next page. Come now, sweetheart, sit down.
I'm allowed in your garden?
Why not? Your father and sister are away. Who else is there? Weirdly. Speaking of sweetheart, are you old enough to drink yet? I'm afraid I've forgotten.
And you see that Klein is letting Weiss through the door into the garden. So he's here, but he doesn't talk much, thankfully. And, wait. It's the next panel, because Weiss says, "Water would be lovely, Klein. Where are Father and Winter, Mother?" Now, if you recall, Winter when she left the family to join the military, so she would presumably be off with the military. But here's what Mom says.
Oh, I don't know. They've got such important business to manage. I've never been able to keep up with them.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, no, Willow. Winter. Willow seems confused as to whether or not Winter is even still a part of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. The writer is, I think, is the problem here. Anyway.
So the next panel is a big panel of you see them through one of the cages, and you see that there's bears in the cages, and they look very sad. They're very trapped bears, but they're also very shiny because this colorist is a criminal.
I think your father has gone to manage something to do with the latest batch of furnace workers, the Schnee dust mines. I'd be nothing but a burden down there. Which
again. Does this person think that they're slaves? Because that still seems to imply that they just like bring in a bunch of faunus instead of, employ them and give them shitty working conditions.
And bear in mind, we've also already seen the faunus in cages in a mine in this comic. Look, this is one of those things where it's like, I don't blame a person who watched RWBY casually for thinking that faunus slavery was still a thing if you weren't paying attention to the details. Because RWBY, to some extent, can't make up its mind. But yeah, still.
Also, okay, look at this fucking coloring. So those really shitty snowflake things, I think the colorist added them because look at how like poorly implemented they are. And also you can see they tried to lighten the background beyond the bars, but they went too far with their selection, and it's also over the bars. I'm gonna kill this colorist. I will destroy them. Like the art itself is already kind of wonky, but this colorist is not helping.
No, they're not doing the best job. I mean, again, maybe they've got 5 minutes.
Yeah. And so these bears, I assumed it was going to be a metaphor for the faunus, because obviously the faunus are, like these animal people that they keep in cages, and so that's what this is going to be about. But no, it's a complete coincidence, I guess. Because I think the bears are supposed to be Weiss.
Yeah, there's an attempt at a metaphor going on here, which we'll get to at the end, but it's very confused.
Yeah, and faunus are not mentioned after this point.
No, and it's just why would you bring a slavery metaphor into a discussion of the Schnee? Because you're just going to really confuse things when you do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Willow keeps talking. Truly, I am glad to see you done with all the tears and the wailing. They never help. I'm living proof of that.
I know you were hurt when I went to Beacon Academy instead of Atlas, and I know I've never been able to make you proud or even anything at all, but...
Weiss, I know I haven't been hard on you, but it has been because, out of everyone in this family, I was the one who believed in you. I know what they all say about me. Whispers that I've lost even what little touch of summoning and strength I ever had.
So I like the part where she says, like, Weiss, I have and haven't been hard on you. Is like, so, you have or haven't hurt my feelings about that.
And this is also something that this comic seems to be introducing this idea that, like, as, like, the middle child, Weiss was sort of the unwanted one. But, like...
Yeah, it's like, I'm the only one who's believed in you, Weiss. But she was the heir. Like, during this time period, she is still the heir to the Schnee legacy. Yeah. She is going to take over the company shortly.
Because Winter's gone. Like, she's the next in line. So, in canon, it's been a while since Winter's been relevant at all to this family.
Yeah. And also Weiss has no pupils in the second panel. She just has white, blank eyes. So, hang in there, Weiss.
Yeah. Anyway, Willow continues. Your father got the name he wanted when we married. He thought he got the hair he wanted with Winter and the son he wanted in Willie. For you, I fought for you. I knew you could be so much more, so much better because you were like me. ... Why don't we do something special? Just mother and daughter. I want a new pet for my menagerie. Something to love, something to love me. Why don't you help me? Show me all you learned at Beacon. Show me what my daughter can do.
So they use the word menagerie in this world as a thing for like a zoo where you keep things. That's what they named the entire country that the Faunus live in. So did the Faunus call it that themselves, or did all the horrible people call it that?
Yes, so the Faunus' nation is officially called Zoo. It's just, wow, great.
And also, this entire comic is post-Beacon, but it really feels like it shouldn't be, because it's like, okay, Weiss is totally down for going big game hunting with her mom. It's so weird.
It's really fucking strange. But yeah, again, this thing about, that she's like her mother. She's the one who's like her mother. So now they're going to go, as Cube said, they're going to go big game hunting in the snowbound forest. Now, bear in mind...
There's no snow!
Bear in mind, Atlas is a land of, like, shitty tundra that's covered in snow. And there's Mantle, which, as of the last episode of RWBY, we've seen, if the outdoor heaters aren't running, it snows. So it's a land of snow. It's a land of snow and nothing else. This forest we're looking at is giant trees and grass. There's no snow.
Yeah, it's a snowbound forest. There's no snow. I don't think we've even really seen any greenery at all.
No.
From what we've seen of this continent.
No, none. So anyway, never mind.
Awesome.
They're going big game hunting in the snow. The two girls are riding side saddle because, of course.
Oh.
So there's in this scene there is a deer with a lion's tail.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a fantasy animal.
Maybe it's a deer. Maybe it's a faunus deer. It's got one animal trait from a different animal.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome if the faunus can also do that. Because like in the stupid book, After the Fall, they have mole crabs. So maybe that's just like a crab with one mole trait or a mole with one crab trait.
This is deep lore. Yeah. Anyway, so it's running off, and Willow says, "There it is, a hailstone hind," which she says several times in this comic, like it's a thing.
Yeah, is that a breed or is that just this one deer? He's infamous.
Anyway, so she sees it and it's running off, and she just takes a big swig from what looks like a drinking horn, except out of the bottom of it. I'm confused as to this thing she's drinking out of.
Yeah.
Either way, she's drinking.
Oh, and Klein is there with them.
And he speaks.
Madam Schnee, please, you have not ridden in years. Perhaps some food, some water, some rest.
So she isn't drinking water, she isn't eating food. She is straight up just living off alcohol at this point. This is the sort of cartoon alcoholism we're dealing with.
I think it must be that the only characterization that they told the writer Willow has, is she is drunk. She's always drunk, because that's the only thing that is consistent between this Willow and the show Willow.
Yeah. Anyway, so she is a summoner. She can use glyphs, and the way that this DC comic thinks all Weiss can do is glyphs. Willow, I don't know if she summons them near the deer or is flinging glyphs at the deer. Either way, she's in the background, deer's in the foreground, and there's just a bunch of little glyphs around the deer.
Yeah, no animals or anything are coming out of them, so I don't know what they're supposed to be doing, because they're blue, they're the color of the summoning glyphs, but nothing is being summoned.
As far as we know, all she's doing is throwing, Tron discs at it.
Yeah.
She says, "I don't need rest, Klein. I'm not broken. I can still do this." And then Weiss, just runs off on her horse in a different direction. And she says, "Go, Weiss."
It's still really funny to me that they would ride horses for this. It would have been a good opportunity to have them, her summon a steed. But I guess the idea is that for some reason her semblance is weakened because of alcoholism.
Or something, yeah. Anyway, so
Weiss sees the deer. She's come upon the deer.
And there's a little panel of Willow saying, "Please bring it to me." And Weiss opens up two glyphs on her hand, like she's Iron Man. It's very Iron Man-y pose.
She's been watching Doctor Strange, because it looks like that. She's like, I'm going to make some symbols in front of my hand. She doesn't have her sword here for some reason.
No. But either way, in doing the symbols on her hands, the deer was standing near some vines, and the vines suddenly, snagged the deer's horns.
Yeah, again, these are summoning glyphs.
These are summoning glyphs, yeah.
According to the colorist, anyway.
Yeah, and the deer is caught, and looks weird, and upset. Very upset.
That's what he says.
Yes. Anyway, Willow says, "Well done, Weiss, darling. This is exhilarating. I feel so alive again." Anyway, so Weiss has a collar, this big gold ceremonial-looking collar that she's unclamped, and it looks like she's going to go put it on the deer, and she's got her mum in her ear going, "Yes, Weiss, do it. Make me proud."
I will say what Weiss is wearing here, it's kind of like a cute, fluffy version of her outfit. And it's like, oh man, this would have been a way better winter outfit than what she ended up getting.
Yeah, no, the outfits aren't bad. That's like one thing I'll say positive about this comic. She even gets like a fluffy headband that's kind of nice.
Yeah, even with the exposed legs, it would still probably be warmer.
Yeah, well, the exposed legs have been taken care by Aura, obviously. Anyway, so yeah, when we get the panel of Willow saying "Make me proud," she now has a wine glass again. She didn't before in the forest, but now she does. So she's what's like with camping. There's like glamping, the fancy camping. Is this like glumping?
Glamour hunting?
Yeah, glunting. That's it.
Now, thanks to the colorist, the glass is glowing slightly blue, so maybe that's that is the enemy that she's defeated and can now summon. She has slayed many cups of wine, and so she can just summon them now.
Oh man, it sounds a little bit like we're making fun of alcoholism, but like both the comic and the show are doing the most cartoony, shallow interpretation of alcoholism there is. So it's not on us; it's on them.
Oh yeah. The show's being poo-poo about alcoholism.
Yeah. Anyway, so Weiss is very torn about whether or not she puts this collar on the deer, but and this is a whole thing where like is you reading this comic? Is this a metaphor for the faunus? Is this a metaphor for slavery? Weiss is supposed to have learned some lessons about racism and stuff, and the Schnee family. Anyway, she puts the collar on. She just does it.
Playing with a K because they're kind of German, I guess. And you see the deer making a like no face, and Weiss is just like, here I go. I'm putting the collar on, and then she says, I did it.
Yeah.
And the deer is just so distressed.
Yeah, really upset deer.
Also, wait, look at these are supposed to be. Is this snow or leaves that are falling? There's like white. Leaf snow falling.
Yeah, these panels, everything's turned white, like it looks like snow. But as soon as we get to the next page, we're back to the forest, and there's no snow. So I don't know. The snow is all in her mind. Yeah. Maybe when you use aura to heat yourself, that's what the world looks like. You just see past the snow because it's not there.
Maybe it's like white is cold and always yearning, burdened by the royal test. That's a lyric from the first RWBY song ever.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar. Anyway, so she's captured the deer, and Willow runs up. Oh, sweetheart, I knew you could. How alive you looked. Who could resist you, let alone abandon you? And she gives her a big hug, and Weiss looks happy about the hug.
Again, what are you talking about with abandon? Who abandoned who?
Yeah, again, I think this is her idea with Weiss's character is that Weiss was the unwanted, unloved middle child. Like, again, this is another one of those things where it's like RWBY's a bad show. And if you were tasked with making a spin-off comic series, I would not blame you for looking at these characters and going, there's no character here. I need to invent something. But Weiss is of the main four, Weiss is the one who actually does have some character.
Yeah, she has that Ojo-sama appeal.
Yeah, there is a thing she has going on, like particularly at this point as well. And it's not that she's abandoned. Like, it's not that she's an unwanted middle child.
I thought maybe the mom was saying that the dad had abandoned her by going to work. Like, your father abandoned me to go do his job.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't get a read on these fucking comics. Anyway, so the deer is still resisting. There's two like just generic workers who are kind of handling it. And it's dragging away. And Willow says, "Oh, please bind the creature at once, Klein. I know Jacques won't let me keep a pet without making some sort of about it. Let the usual vultures come. Come and see the Schnee's newest conquests."
Without making some sort of what about it?
Gala. Sorry.
Some sort of gala.
Some sort of gala. Anyway.
So yeah, they're getting that deer, and then a dramatic cut to that evening, Schnee Manor. And they've invited a bunch of people who are all clapping in German. They KLAP, clap, 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 clap. And they all look bored as fuck. And the deer is there. He's been kind of harnessed up like a reindeer. He has a saddle on him. They aren't planning to ride him.
Maybe she will. Maybe she should, if the mood takes her, just ride him around.
Yeah, and his feet are chained. And
it's up on a little stage with curtains. And Willow and Weiss are up there. And Willow's saying, "Esteemed guests of my husband, please behold the beautiful powerful, beloved heart I have won. The legendary hailstone hind.
Willow to Willow Schnee, the great summoner. Woo!
So heart is spelled H-A-R-T?
Yeah, that's a kind of deer thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, wait, I'm gonna look it up to make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass. Yeah, a hart is an adult male deer. So it's like, yeah, I think it's like a pun, but it's a pun that you can only know because you are reading it.
This is a point of contention between Cube and me. I read the collar that it's wearing as some sort of like mind control device, because before the deer is being all resisty and uncooperative, and then Klein is told to bind it, even though it already has the collar on. And then the next two times we see the deer, it's either standing very still and very calm, or it's sort of like prancing around like it's doing dressage.
I don't know. I think this panel is just, I mean, obviously the art in general isn't great.
Yeah, I just thought the behavior change was meant to indicate something.
Yeah, it should be like resisting or something still, or like looking scared.
Yeah, and the thing with Klein saying, being told to bind it even after it's already got ropes on it, I was confused. Anyway.
So next panel, Weiss has a very angry face, and she's looking at her mother, who's all smiling and drinking again, and she says, "Mother?" ?
Yeah, the question mark's in its own little bubble. And Willow says, "Weiss, sweetheart?" Now, it's worth noting, that Willow just took credit for the capturing of this deer.
Yeah. And that's what Weiss is mad about. She's not feeling bad about the fact that they captured this poor animal and now he's suffering. This is her problem. So they're backstage and she says, "Please put that down. Mother, that isn't what happened on the hunt at all. You said you were proud of me, that I was the one who..."
I never said you weren't.
You just said you won the hind. Why put on this show? So Dad will let you have another pet?
I don't understand why you're being so selfish. I hardly think a slip of the tongue.
Mother, you're not well, but this is more than the drinking. Don't make me disposable again. I don't know what she's talking about.
No, again, this is this thing about the disposed, unloved middle daughter. I feel like this thing.
She's the current heir to the Schnee name.
Anyway.
Also, she has a very funny bird face here.
Yeah, she looks a bit like Pearl. And Willow says, I didn't mean it, Weiss.
Yes, you did. After what you said about us being mother and daughter, it's still the wine and the pets and the self-medication you love.
Self-medication?
Yeah, that would be the wine, so you just listed it twice.
unless there's something else going on. Unless they're suggesting she's also a pill popper.
Maybe the vodka is the self-medication. The wine's just for fun. And so you see a panel of Weiss' mom looking very upset and like, "Oh no." And Weiss says, "You meant it."
And then all of a sudden, Weiss' mom looks really angry. And she says, "Then be a worthy daughter. And maybe next time you won't deserve it."
What?
So you won't deserve to have the credit taken off you, I guess.
Yeah, next time. I mean, this time she did exactly what the mom wanted. What do you want?
Yeah, but now she's being mad about something. I don't know. But there's a point this writer is trying to get to with this behavior. We'll get there in a second. In the meantime, she has the butler who's not Klein, unless Klein's just been colored wrong this time.
I think this is Klein.
But he's got like pure white hair this time, as opposed to like gray with a bit of white.
Wait, I'm looking up Klein RWBY. That's right. His hair in the comic is tan.
Yeah, earlier on.
And they just didn't bother. They're like, everyone that lives in this place has white hair, right? That's
and a mustache,
fine.
And it's about that size.
Yeah, because even before he had like gray hair. Oh yeah, but in the very first panel he's in, he has brown hair. Oops.
Anyway, so Willow says, "Hi. Weiss, none of this means anything. But if you still want it, knowing that..." And then she suddenly pulls the curtain back so everyone can see them. She's looking all smug and like sarcastic and holding up the necklace that she got for capturing the deer, which was self-awarded as far as I can tell. But anyway. And she says, "Ladies and gentlemen, a correction. Let me give full and proper credit where it's due."
Exclamation point.
"Raise your glasses to the Schnee who captured and ensnared the hailstone hind. From our very own manor, my own true daughter, Weiss Schnee."
What?
And everyone, no one claps. Everyone, it's all just the backs of heads staring at Weiss.
Yeah, we don't actually get to see them react because it cuts right to another scene after this. So Weiss just looks kind of disappointed, like, oh, I guess this isn't what I actually wanted or something. We don't...
Now, the thing says midnight. What color is the sky, Cube?
Wait, I completely missed this. This is a daytime scene. And also there's a ton of greenery around their whole manor. Everything's fucking green except for this like magical frozen fountain they have. But yeah, there's a blue sky. There's no way this is anything other than daytime.
There's blue sky, there's a hard light source. This is daytime. This is a daytime scene. It says midnight. This is like meant to be Norway or something.
Yeah, there is no midnight.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's another Weiss monologue. Here's where we're going to find out what this comic's actually about.
Yeah, it's time for the moral of the day. What stunt? That's what I said to Blake when she saw what I did to Carden in the obstacle course. I pretended it didn't happen, but it did. And then we see her, she's at her study again, and she says, well, it wasn't cheating, I told her. It's not my fault if he's stupid. And if it bothered her, then it wasn't my fault. I didn't mean for him to get humiliated the way he did. And if I did want him to get into trouble, well, he had it coming, didn't he? And in the next panel, we see a super zoom in of the blank ass book.
Completely blank.
Yes, it is unambiguously blank. The same pattern over and over and over and over. Nothing happened. And if something did, it wasn't all that bad. And if it was bad, I didn't cause it. And if I caused it, I didn't mean for it to turn out that way.
Just read the next bit.
And if I did, you had it coming. And you see her looking at a reflection of herself in her glass.
It's what I love with the panel. It says the little box that says the same pattern over and over and over and over. That's over the book, and I am certain the intention was we were meant to see a pattern.
Yes, definitely.
And instead, it's just a blank ass book.
Oops. and also, okay, all of this. What? What did she talk? What did she say? Like, okay, Carden definitely did have it coming, and also she didn't break any rules or do anything wrong there anyways. So what lesson are you getting at? I don't understand.
So the next thing she says while looking at her reflection is,
my mother's own true daughter, not anymore.
So this is the idea with this little 2-comic arc that Weiss has been on, is that she's a person who doesn't take responsibility for her own actions. And whenever she does something wrong, she just makes excuses in this pattern of cascading sort of reasons why it wasn't her fault.
But what does that have to do with her mom not giving her credit and her getting mad about not getting credit for capturing the heart?
It's like everything else in this comic. It's a really sort of clumsily inserted story telling in order to get this character idea in. And the character idea they've got in here is this thing about Weiss not taking responsibility. But apart from the fact that that's never really been a Weiss thing, and again, Weiss is the character with the most character in this show, it's just like both halves of it is so like the plot points you picked was so fucking confusing.
Yeah, I don't feel like they actually lead up to this revelation at all.
No. I mean, it's there once they talk about it here. I can now see what they were doing.
I still don't get it.
But like it's the choices of the plot elements you chose to show it in Weiss first and then show it in Willow. So in Weiss's comic, you had her humiliate an opponent who she didn't like in a obstacle course. But fucking you put them in an obstacle course where she was allowed to do whatever she wanted. That was explicitly stated. And secondly, you picked the one character in RWBY who is a 100% cartoon bully who was only ever there to get his comeuppance. Carden was not a character. He was a fucking stand-in like person to bully Jorn so we would feel bad for Jorn. That's all he was. Why did you pick that character for? Because like it feels like we're meant to feel slightly sympathetic for Carden in that thing.
Oh, definitely. She did a bad by Carden here.
Yeah, but you can't do bad by Carden. He's there to be done bad by. That's what he's for. Like that was such a stupid choice. And then you got this comic where the thing that Weiss has gotten mad about and the way that she feels she was done wrong was that she didn't get credit for capturing a fucking animal so it can be stuck in the zoo.
No, see, but then with what happens later, I think she's supposed to be realizing that she should have not done that but then it doesn't follow at all from that previous scene, and it's all nonsense.
Yeah, no, because it also turns into this confused thing about her wanting, love from her somewhat abusive mother, and which just muddles the story. Like,
The lesson at the end of both of these should have been like, I was willing to do anything for my family's and my mother's approval, but I shouldn't have been going for that because maybe their approval isn't worth seeking out.
Yeah.
That would have followed naturally from both of these comics.
Yeah, or there's something about Weiss just wanting approval from people. If that was the thing you wanted to see. It's like she could have been after Carden because she wanted someone's approval.
Yeah, she wanted the approval of her like teammates and stuff. She wanted to win the thing no matter what it took but then she realized that she was sad because she didn't get Blake's approval, which was all she really wanted.
Yeah.
But nope, it's about how she doesn't take responsibility when she does something that's completely allowed against a person who's a horrible person.
Yeah. Yeah, like she didn't in that comic. It wasn't even that she like committed an act of violence against Carden or something. She just tricked him into seeing something that wasn't there, so she got a head start. That's all she did. And then later on, he got humiliated because he cracked it and screamed at her about how she was like she wasn't good enough and stuff. It's like, wasn't this meant to be a show about like female empowerment? And like Carden is 100% a dude shouting that women can't do it as well as he can.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, so this comic has one more incredible punch left.
Yes. Oh, this is what really elevated it to next level.
Yeah.
So the next big panel, you see her, she's running up to the cage that the hailstone hind is in. He's doing like what Phoenix said, like some kind of dressage looking thing. I think he's just supposed to be running in an exaggerated way, like running about.
But his eyes are also like, he's only barely got a pupil.
Well, again, who knows if that's the colorist's fault?
Well, yeah, I know.
And he has crazy faces this entire comic.
Yeah, he does.
But there's more narration as Weiss is running up to him. I like it that she also has a cape for this caper.
And she's wearing the necklace she got as an award for capturing this thing.
Yeah, she's still wearing that.
Why do you want that?
The fuck? No. She says, I wanted to be a huntress, to show the world that this, who and what and how I am is because of me, and me alone.
Yeah, and this is introducing a separate thing about privilege, where it's like, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to separate yourself from the incredible advantages you had, but anyway, that's an argument for a different comic.
Yeah, and it's also separate from the whole like not taking responsibility thing. And
yeah,
and so you see her taking the muzzle off of the deer, and she says, "Not my family, not my name." And you see her letting the deer out, and he looks a little nervous, and she says, "I am me." And then you see the deer running off into some dead trees, and she says, "Look at me, mother." And
then it goes to a close-up of her face, where her face is very wide, and you can see Willow standing in a window in the background watching what's happening.
And she says, "Look at me now." Now, there's some important things to remember.
There's some important things to remember about where this is happening. So, Weiss has just let a deer run off out of Schnee Manor. Schnee Manor is located on Atlas. Atlas is a floating rock in the sky that does not have a forest on it.
Go, deer, be free! Oh no! The only place that deer is going is off of a cliff, and he is dead now. And maybe it's better to die free than live as a slave. Goodbye, Schnees.
This fucking comic is just. I said this to Q before, but like, RWBY is a show that fucks up its own canon and contradicts itself all the time. And somehow these comics have managed to be even less canon than the very low standard that RWBY's already set. There is so little concrete information about the world of RWBY, and this comic is still getting it wrong.
And there's just like something about the entire tone and the way it feels like the world works in this comic and the characterization, like nothing is quite right. Like even for RWBY standards, it's just all wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong in terms of Weiss's characterization. It's wrong in terms of Willow's characterization, who we only just met. And then it gets stuff like this wrong, where this deer is about to run off a fucking cliff.
It's so nuts. It's my favorite.
It's the best. Oh, these comics. They're so good. I never want them to end.
What if this is on purpose? What if this is the long con?
This is a cry for help.
This was made specifically for us. Thank you very much for this gift which you have given us.
Oh man. Anyway, so that's why we had to emergency do a podcast about this one, because yeah.
It's real good. So there might not be a new RWBY episode this week, but there is some hot content.
Yeah, we definitely got some RWBY content. This is the most RWBY-ass content you could put out. Oh, superb.
Well, anyway. So that's all of our exciting RWBY news for this week. Thank you for joining us.
See you guys next week for an actual RWBY.
Yeah. Oh, wait, real quick. So I realized something, a cursed possibility, because I was thinking about the fact that they brought literally everyone to the party. And I was like, why would they do that? Why bring everyone? And I was like, what if we're going straight into the finale from this? So we're going to have another like big 5-episode finale.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. It's going to be like the Haven one, which fucking sucked. But yeah, I think that's definitely possibly what's going to happen.
I think at least this time there's a better chance of people actually fighting and not just standing around talking to each other instead of fighting.
Well, Eddie did say something on Twitter about someone asked him something about like what's coming up, and he said, well, look, I've been very careful not to just hype the show in general for no reason, but I definitely can say about the rest of the season, hold on to your butts.
Oh no. My butt fell off.
Yeah, I know. You gotta hold it in.
I forgot to hold on to it. And we'll see you all next week for that nonsense.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.